We're live.
We are live. Hey guys, welcome to another one of our live sessions. This NZ Pocket Guide live session will be all about traveling in New Zealand. We're going to be chatting about traveling in New Zealand. We're going to be chatting about stuff to do in New Zealand, and we're going to answer all your questions in the live chat. The best way to get your question answered is literally just to type it in the live chat and ask us what you want us to talk about. Because we kind of are the experts of traveling in New Zealand. But why are we the experts, Laura?
Well, this is Robin and I'm Laura, and we're the team behind NZPocketGuide.com, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide. And it's absolutely free for you guys to go on and get your travel questions answered about traveling in New Zealand. We cover all types of travel on the website. We have guides for families, for budget travel, for luxury travel, for honeymoons, and for foodies, and a lot more as well. So yeah, check out nzpocketguide.com for free information about traveling in New Zealand. But if you're not really into reading...
Here and in the screen. Sorry, I got distracted. Here you go.
That's
everywhere.
Okay.
Sorry.
You can text your friends later, Robin.
I'm doing the work.
So yeah, so if you're not really into reading, because the website literally has thousands and thousands of articles to get through, we also do this live Q&A session every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. And if you want to know the time that it's scheduled for your time zone, there is a handy link in the description below. And you can also subscribe to the channel, press the little bell icon, and it will give you a notification when we are coming live. But
we both speak way too fast today. I think we should both take a deep breath.
It's like we've been rushing this morning.
Yeah, no, what? No.
Yeah, but so what was I saying?
Put your questions in the comments.
Yeah, so best place to get your travel questions answered is in the live chat right now. You can ask your questions directly to us. Otherwise, if you do miss the live session, you can put your questions in the comments section of any of our YouTube videos, and we will answer those questions as well. We usually pull together questions like this one and go through that during the live session also.
All right, who do we have in the live chat? We have King Kuba official. It's the official king. And he say hello. We have Anthony Comstock that says Morena from Rodeo, California. Morena. Nathan Baith, which is in Taupo in New Zealand. He's a local and says Kia ora, Laura and Robin.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Reman 2016 says hello. I want to know any news regarding opening the borders for PhD students to New Zealand. Is it possible for 2022?
Well, there has been no new official information as to when the borders are going to open for international students, I'm afraid. So if you have looked at our latest videos, obviously we do cover this question every single week, and things haven't really changed. However, if you do want to get more information, more context as to when we think the borders will open, just our border predictions based off some of the research we've done in New Zealand, then you can check out our border predictions video, which we have on YouTube. Robin's going to put how to search that on YouTube on the screen right now, and you'll be able to see a full video basically answering your question, but with a lot more detail and a lot more context. So go check that out.
Yes, it's the best way for you to see what we currently think will happen to the New Zealand border. Obviously, things are very fluid at the moment, so we don't really know for sure just yet. But as soon as we get some updates, anyway, we will do a video on the channel.
We'll do a new updated video, yes.
Yes. Okay, Christian Holden says, good morning, Robbie and Laura. Did you do the trivia before? So the trivia is coming just after this live session. And this trivia is going to be about the different locations in the Lord of the Rings movie. I mean, the filming location for the Lord of the Rings movie. And Laura hasn't done it yet, so she will be behind the computer doing it in a premiere kind of with you. Basically, she did do it in a live chat with you guys. And let's see how you guys fare at this one. I think it's a very hard one. So I'm making up I come up with the questions and everything. I think this one is a pretty hard one, but yeah. So what we'll do is that after this live session, so literally at 9:15 for us, so it's in exactly about an hour
and 10 minutes. Yeah.
So the video is going to premiere, and so I'll be with Laura in the live chat, and we'll chat with you guys, with the video. But yeah, no, we haven't done the quiz just yet, and let's see if people do well. Let's see if Clay redeems himself from the last quiz. Speaking of Clay, he says, "Morning all. Hope all is well." Yes, all is very well right now. We're just right under the heat pump. We're warming up. It's nice. In about 10 minutes, it should turn off and be like, "I'm not going to hit you anymore." I don't know why, but it does that every time. We have Mohsen Faradi that knows how much we like emojis. So we're having a smiley emoji, a fox emoji, an explosion emoji, a hand emoji, a cat emoji, a sheep emoji, a duckling emoji, an actual duck emoji, a dolphin emoji, a rose emoji, a kiwi emoji, and then he says hi.
Hi.
I like all the emojis. Very fun. Extreme Talauta says Morena. Christina is happy that she didn't miss the quiz.
Yay.
Mohsen says, "I have a news about Immigration Centre. In the last 12 months, I tried to call Immigration New Zealand billions of times, but the international section was closed and an automatic computer says, currently offshore applications are not processing until 3 weeks ago, the international phone line answered."
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's basically kind of the policies that has been from Immigration New Zealand right now. They're not going to give you a visa, which they all have time conditions and restrictions and length of times and all those kind of things. They're all on the timer, basically, of the visas. If they don't know when you can come to New Zealand, they're not going to issue a visa because it's kind of pointless. They're going to give you a 12-month visa and you can't come to New Zealand until 10 months from now, for instance. What's the point of having a 12-month visa at that point?
Yeah.
So that's basically has been their policy of like, we're not issuing visas to people outside of New Zealand until we know they can come in the country. Once we know they can come in the country, they'll get back into working.
Yeah,
that's basically the kind of the idea here. Mohsen says also, "I told them my visitor visa application ID, and they found my application and my information. They told me everything is okay. I just need to wait for COVID to settle. They say the offshore application will be processed right after the border openings." Yeah, exactly what we just mentioned. That has been their policy for quite a while. But it's awesome that you came and you gave us some news, Mohsen, that confirms what we've heard as well, and like the publication that they've been doing and everything. So it all makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not the news you want, but it's the news that actually makes sense. So
yeah,
I think it's,
and you don't want to be wasting your money actually applying for visas, because a lot of visas are quite expensive, and you don't want to be paying for visas to realize that they're just going to expire before the borders open anyway. So yeah.
Clay say, "At least this time I can't have an international question. Hopefully not." Well, so Clay is referring to the quiz. So after this live session, guys, stick around. We're going to be doing a quiz of the Lord of the Rings locations. So that's going to be quite fun. And last time the quiz was what? It was New Zealand geography
quiz.
And Clay complained because he said there was an international question when I asked what is the furthest, out of 4 capital cities, which one were the furthest from New Zealand. I still think it had to do with geography.
And New Zealand.
Yes. Clay says, "I haven't watched one Lord of the Rings movie, though, so already not looking good for the quiz." Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. We actually did our homework last night. I forced Robin to watch The Return of the King, and like any experience watching the 3rd movie of The Lord of the Rings, by the end of it, your bum is very numb. It's a very long movie, but we didn't watch the extended edition, so...
I don't know if you guys know, but the normal edition is 3 hours and 21 minutes, and apparently there's an extended version, which is 4 hours and 11 minutes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What else is there to say? The original, the 3 hours and 21 minute stuff already had like 3 or 4 different endings. It keeps on ending, and then you have like a black screen, and then they do something else, and then they do something else. There's three endings. Did you really need an extra hour of that movie?
Yes, you did. But that is for a different YouTuber on a different platform to discuss.
Yes. My answer is no, you didn't. All right. Anthony says, did you miss my Morena from Rodeo, California? Did I? I thought I said it, but I apologize, Anthony. Morena.
Yeah, he actually skipped to the 3rd person. Then he went back up to yours and did actually say Morena from Rodeo, California.
I have a witness.
Yes,
I did not forget
you.
I
also
Anthony.
Was like, oh, is he forgetting Anthony? But then he did go back to Anthony and then said Morena from you. So don't worry, you were mentioned. Maybe you just fell asleep for that second. It happens during this live session. Some of our readers fall asleep.
Yes. So sometimes when you guys are mentioning, like things pop up, so I just have to go back. So Just don't panic. I try to do everybody. And yeah, Morena means good morning in Maori, which is the local indigenous language.
That is the line that you forgot to say this morning.
Well,
so maybe that's usually the for conditioning people. That's the trigger to be like, oh yeah, he's read my comment.
Grant Montgomery says, hey, good day, Hale. He says, thank you, guys. Your channel gives me something to educate myself and use as a countdown every week until my move. Keep the incredible work. Cheers. Oh, that is just
thank
nice.
you, Grant.
Just plain old nice, Grant. Grant, what's the countdown? Like, how long is your countdown? I mean, obviously you don't know because of COVID, but like, what's the plan? Are you planning to move to New Zealand in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Or as soon as the borders open.
Yesterday? Yeah, give us a bit of context on that countdown. Also, so I know you are in the US, but whereabouts? Riemann 2016 says, but the border opening date is a big secret. Well, Riemann said something else. He said, Riemann, how about visa processing for the old application? But the border opening date is a big secret. So, Riemann, here, he says he applied in October 2019. So, Riemann, here's what happened. New Zealand immigration had a massive backlog of a lot of people that applied for visas, and then COVID hit, right? They had to make a choice. They could either try to sort out the visas of people which are currently in New Zealand and are going to be stuck in New Zealand, which is what they decided to do, or the other choice was to process visas for people which are currently overseas with no prospect of being able to come to New Zealand. Again, COVID hit more than a year ago. Most of the visas given by Immigration New Zealand are 12 months or less. So they're not going to give visas to people that are going to trigger, and you're not going to be able to get to New Zealand within those 12 months. So for this reason, every application that Immigration New Zealand received is just frozen. It doesn't mean it's cancelled or anything like that. It's frozen in their system. And as soon as the borders reopen, then Immigration New Zealand is going to restart on the processing of your visas. So honestly, right now, you can contact Immigration New Zealand, and you're more than welcome to do so. I'm going to put their website right on screen. You're more than welcome to contact them. However, the only thing that they're going to tell you is, well, at the moment, we're not processing any visas. And it's okay. It's just because they know that if they give you a visa, you're not going to be able to use it. And if you're not able to use your visa, it's just a waste of your money. So I don't think there's any action that you can take right now that's going to help the process. The only thing you can do right now is to, basically wait until the borders reopen. And for the New Zealand borders to reopen, it's all about getting COVID under control. So it's all about practicing good hygiene, wearing masks, getting vaccinated, all these kind of things. That's the only thing that you can be doing. There is nothing else. So I do know that it's stressful and it's annoying to wait that long. There are some countries that are going to reopen before New Zealand. That is for sure. New Zealand has definitely shown that it is ready to do a wait and see approach rather than kind of rushing into reopening and anything. So most of the countries will reopen before New Zealand. That's almost a guaranteed. But with that in mind, that doesn't mean that your visa has been cancelled. It just means that your visa is just frozen and your application will be picked back up when the borders reopen. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to explain that in like the clearest way possible for all to also understand also where things come from.
Yeah.
So now Riemann and Mosen are discussing a little bit together. So I'm going to leave them having a little chat, and I'm going to skip to Michael Mariano that says, aloha, everyone, with a bunch of emojis.
Aloha.
I like that. We have shaka hands, rainbow, burger, fries. Burger and fries.
Even at this time of the morning, I wouldn't mind a burger and fries.
Yes. I feel like we look like, or we act like we're hangover every Sunday. When we are not, right? But wanting burgers and fries at 8:15
that is quite
a.m.
quite a hangover-y sort of thing to need, isn't it?
just to make it really clear, we have not drunk last night. We are not hangover. We always drink like a ton of water as well. Like we always look hangover, but it's just we're under the heat pump, and we're awake for quite a while as well because we do prepare a lot of things beforehand. So we usually awake by like 5 o'clock in the morning before the live session and everything. So we always look like we hangover. Can you read what Akriti says?
Akriti says, hey guys, thank you guys. You are doing a wonderful job. Is there any chance that New Zealand will allow travel from countries which might complete their vaccination soon, in brackets, Switzerland? So there has, like I've already said a few times on this live chat, there's been no official updates as to, if that is the case, if they will allow the borders to be open to countries where people have had a vaccination. I mean, obviously that it's kind of, vaccinations might. I'm struggling with my words today.
So
sorry.
Vaccination may impact.
Yes, that's the word,
when will New Zealand decide to open its border with selected countries and everything? But the thing is, if a country has been really well vaccinated, but it still allows travel from like other countries which have not, then you add extra layers of issues and everything. So basically, I don't know if a country which is 100% vaccinated will reopen to New Zealand if it's not bordered tight, which Switzerland, as for example, is not. So honestly, right now, my gut feeling is I don't think so. But there is nothing official, and I don't want to put kind of my foot down and tell you, yes, this is what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So my gut feeling is I don't think it's going to have a major impact. But I genuinely hope to be wrong, right? One of the things that I always want to point out when we talk about the borders opening and everything and that is that our job is nzpocketguide.com, right? That's our every day, every week job, right? Any minute of life is we're doing NZ Pocket Guide. It's the largest travel guide to New Zealand, and it's here to kind of advise people on what to do in New Zealand and all those kind of plan their trip and all that. So that's our job, right? So the more travelers are coming to New Zealand, the better it is for us, right? So we don't want nobody to come here. We're not here to push you away. We're just here to kind of relay kind of the vibe and the information that we currently have, and that's why we are pessimistic, because we just don't see things be fixed super fast.
Yeah. Just some other context to people that might not already know, but the vaccination rollout in New Zealand hasn't really got that far yet. There's so obviously the whole population hasn't been vaccinated. Only, people that are working, for instance, in the borders, people that are more likely to be exposed to COVID. They're pretty much the only ones that have been vaccinated, and they've only just started to roll out vaccinations for, higher risk people like the elderly, for instance. So to introduce, to open the borders and introduce people back into the country where there would be a risk of COVID is, considering New Zealand has kept COVID under control pretty well. And for example, there isn't any community transmissions of COVID in New Zealand. It's all in quarantine. So considering that, opening the borders and allowing COVID to come back into the country while people still aren't vaccinated is also obviously a concern for the New Zealand government, and why also they haven't opened the borders. And
they won't anytime soon.
Yeah,
it will take a wee while.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're having a Reman 2016 that says, thanks a lot for your kind answer. You're very welcome, Reman. By the way, guys, if you do find this video useful, make sure to hit the like button. So it's a free way for you guys to say thank you for all our hard work, and it really means a lot to us. It helps with the YouTube nonsense. And YouTube keeps on telling me all the time to tell you guys to like. So just do what YouTube tells me to do, to tell you to do. The robots controls my life.
Yeah, so the YouTube algorithm says click like, and people might like your videos, and there you go. Thank you to the couple of people who just clicked like now.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Kiwi Lauren says, hi, good to see your lovely faces today. Oh, we do have lovely faces.
You're too kind, Kiwi Lauren.
She says, I'm out at the lake this weekend and enjoying my nature fix, she says, while staying at her phone. I hope I hope you are doing well and staying warm over here. Yes, we are. Thank you very much, Kiwi Lauren. Will you stay with us all the way until the quiz? At the end of this live session, guys, we're going to do a quiz about the Lord of the Rings filming locations in New Zealand. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join us right after that. It's going to be a live premiere that's going to come out at 9:15. And so we'll be in live chat with you guys. Laura hasn't. So I prepared the quiz. She hasn't done it. So we'll see if she.
Yes. Join me and see if you can get as many right.
Or as more.
I. Probably more.
We'll see. Okay, Grant is reminding me that he is the veteran with the dog from Ohio, if you remember. Yes, now I remember everything. I will remember, I need people to come in the live chat for maybe 5-6 weeks, and then after I'm nailing you guys. We have We have Nathan Bates from Top over there.
Clay from Dunedin.
Yes,
Kiwi Lauren
from Canada.
Yeah.
We also have Christina Holden. We have Michael Mariano from Hawaii. So I remember people after a little while. I need to condition myself too. Speaking of Clay, he said, have you done any video or playlist touching on the borderline of being a history channel?
Have you done any videos touching on the borderline of being the history channel? Would you mean like history documentaries or anything for New Zealand? Is that what you mean?
I think if you ever watched the History Channel in the last 10 years, it's mostly ancient alien. Yeah. So I'm happy to do that if you want. Did you know that the Koru shape of the Maori culture may have came from space? The answer is a resounding yes.
No, as you can tell, we're big fans.
This is nonsense.
Anyway. History Channel is a little different nowadays, isn't it? So, yeah, sure, we could create that content. But let's know what you mean.
But anyway, he's continuing. He says, like the first settlement in the Bay of Islands in Russell and how it spreads from there to the whaling and gold rush. I love to travel New Zealand in a similar way with all that in mind. Now, we haven't really dabbled into like the history of New Zealand because we try to kind of focus on our one niche, which is kind of traveling in New Zealand. But that said, we do have a lot of historical kind of places that we visit. We visited the Maori Pass site. Yeah. We visited, like Russell's. We went to Russell. We do have a lot of those kind of things. So I couldn't turn that into like one playlist. But yeah, otherwise, like dabbling around, like the videos, there's a lot of history around.
Yeah, I suppose we could make a playlist of the historical sites that we have visited. And as you know from watching our 365 days of 365 activities in New Zealand. As you've seen from that, we try to include a lot of facts about the places that we're visiting. So we do usually include a lot of information. So maybe you could get a History Channel vibe if we do create a playlist of, when we've been to the Stone Star in the Bay of Islands or the Waitangi Treaty Grounds.
There is one video where Laura sees aliens, actually. So here you go. If you watch when we took the ferry from Picton to Wellington, Laura panics because she thinks aliens are in the sky. So here you go. History Channel. Hey, boom. Also,
aren't you proud of yourself?
Yes. Also, there's a couple of videos where we go to second-hand shop to try to hunt for board games and everything, which is kind of your pawn shop kind of stuff. So, Pawn Stars is also on the History Channel. So here you go.
Is that on the History Channel?
Yeah, it is History Channel.
I thought it was like Discovery Channel or something.
I think it's
History Channel's gone downhill.
I think Pawn Stars is History Channel. I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure. If you guys know, by the way, just tell us.
Yeah.
Kiwi Lauren says, anyway, can we go back to talking about New Zealand a little bit? Kiwi Lauren says, have you been to the -5 ice bar? If I remember correctly, there's one in Auckland and one in Queenstown. I've been to the one in Auckland, pricey, but definitely a fun novelty. So -5, I think, is the name of the one in Auckland. So I've been there. I don't think it's called -5 in Queenstown.
There's two different ice bars in Queenstown.
Do you really need to?
Yeah, there's two of them, and I get them mixed up. Which one is -5 and one is, I don't know, below 0 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure what they're called. And I have been to one of them in Queenstown, and I mean,
it's a fun novelty. You said it. It's a fun novelty. I really don't think it's worth the price, personally.
It's a giant freezer. It's a giant walk-in freezer with ice sculptures. And when we went, I went with a friend. We were literally the only ones there.
Yeah, it was empty as well.
Didn't feel like a bar vibe because they also, the way they do it is they let a set amount of people in at certain time slots. Therefore, usually, unless you're on a bar crawl or something like an organized group event, usually when you're going in, you're quite unlikely to be in there with other people, so it doesn't feel like a bar. You're just drinking a drink out of an ice.
I like the ice shot. The glass is a shot. Like we were doing shots, and
the glass is made of ice as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So I mean, it's cool to see ice sculptures and stuff, and they have pretty lights. It looks pretty, but it's hard to take photos in there. As you can tell, it wasn't really my thing, but it's obviously a thing for a lot of people, as there are two ice bars in Queenstown, and they're still going. They're still semi-popular. So, it rocks a few people's boats at least.
Yes. And Kiwi Loren says, even a novelty for this Canadian who see ice and snow 6 months out of the year. That's true. That's true. You see enough ice.
You could make your own ice bar in your back garden, I'm sure.
So yeah, so it's a fun novelty. I'm not dishing out of it. I just do think it's way too expensive to get into. On top of it, have to buy drinks and everything.
Yeah.
Like that. So I think it's a little too much. But it's funny. It makes some fun Instagram pictures. Can you read what Ben says?
Ben, hey guys, I'd love to take a gap year in New Zealand in 2022. What are your opinions on being an au pair there? I'll be 19 by the time I've heard it's harder for boys to find host families too. So there are a lot of au pair organizations in New Zealand. It's definitely a thing where there's a lot of opportunities to do au pairing in New Zealand. So yes, first of all, you can definitely do that job. In terms of if it's harder for boys to find au pair hosts.
Yes, it definitely is. I was having a chat actually with Au Pair Link, which is a big company of au pair here in New Zealand. And actually we do have a lot of au pair chips and the information for you right here on nzpocketguide.com. I'll show it to you when Laura pick up the chatting. But I had a discussion with Au Pair Link, and they were definitely saying that it is significantly harder to actually get a job as an au pair in New Zealand as a boys, just because this is more what's kind of thing that people are looking for girls to do more than anything. Also, if you do have a driver license, make sure that you have also an international driver license with you, because that's very important. And if you do go through an au pair company, which do placement and everything like that, it's quite handy. They will also help you get a little certificate that you have a little training. You have like a 2-hour training for driving in New Zealand, just to reassure them that you can drive their kids as well. So just an extra bits of information right here. So yeah, by the way, everybody on the chat, and Ben, I'll get back to you in a second. Everybody in the chat, we will read all your comments. We're just falling a little bit behind, but Cecile, stick around. Ezekiel, stick around. We will read your comments and answer your question in a second. So what I want to do for you, Ben, is just to show you here on NZ Pocket Guide. So that's the site here. So if you go on nzpocketguide.com, it's all free. You type au pair right here, you will find a lot of articles about being an au pair. If you want to work, do your homework basically. So you have things you need to know when being an au pair, winning reasons to being an au pair. Being an au pair in New Zealand is like a full guide right here, which is going to be quite handy for you. So I'm going to click on this one, and there's really kind of most of the information that you need, where how to find your job as an au pair, or what are the requirements as well, and what kind of duties you can expect to do, as well as obviously what you will get as a compensation for your work. So we do have a lot of information at the ready for you, so it may be something that you may want to check out. So yes, it's on nzpocketguide.com, so you may want to check this out. Anyway, what were you saying, Laura?
I was just going to say, you have the option to either go with an agency like Au Pair Link, or you have the option to try and do it yourself, where, for instance, a lot of families will put their own listings on job boards and websites. For instance, we do have a job board on nzpocketguide.com as well, where we do get a lot of families putting their jobs through basically our website. But there's also a lot of advantages if you feel like, because there is a little bit of that barrier of, I guess, being male and some families preferring females for an au pair. Perhaps it would be best to go with an agency who can give you sort of the training and basically make you look more sort of valuable as an au pair. And also they have a lot of they have access to a lot of different hosts and stuff, and you're more likely to find a variety of hosts, whereas maybe on job boards and stuff you don't really have that same variety. And also agencies like Au Pair Link will also make sure that you're getting the fair wage and fair sort of making sure that your living conditions are good, and they're sort of there as a support as well. So personally, I would go through the agency route, but just also know that there is the independent route as well if you wanted to go it alone.
And we do have some videos on the channel as well about au pair, Ben. So if you want to keep on going with your research, we do have plenty there.
And good luck on your research as well.
Yeah. But we've done most of the work for you. So seriously, head to NZ Pocket Guide. You get all the info. I mean, we have like 3,000 articles anyway, so you're going to get a ton of there. Anyway, Ben, if that was useful, and if any of you guys are watching that and think that useful, YouTube is telling me again to hit like, because nobody hits like, which is watching, or whatever it says on the screen, and that doesn't matter to me. But yeah, here you go. I said it. Akriti says, thank you very much. You're very welcome, Akriti. Mohsen and Miman, you guys are having a chat together, so I'm skipping all those comments. It's not because I don't like you, but let you have your private conversation in public over there. Kim Loren says, yes, I'm on it. I'll stay for the quiz. Cool. So yeah, again, we're having a quiz coming up right at the end of this video. She says, I did very well on the last one on geography, but I'm admittedly not knowledgeable at all about the Lord of the Rings. Well, that'd be fun.
Well, good job that it is multiple choice answers. Chances are you'll at least click the right one at some point.
Nathan says, what's the next movie trilogy you are going to watch? Well, Laura forced me to watch The Lord of the Rings, and I know she does not like The Hobbit. So I think you're going to force her to watch The Hobbit.
No, I do not want to watch The Hobbit. It's so bad.
Yeah, aside from that, if you do have a trilogy to recommend, Nathan, go ahead. Just tell us what movie do you guys recommend? We just kind of finished watching like a little bit of a list of movies that we wanted to watch. So if you guys have some movie recommendation, go ahead in the live chat. If it has remotely something to do with traveling or New Zealand, that'd be a bit more on theme. But if it doesn't, it's absolutely fine.
It'll be hard to find a trilogy other than The Lord of the Rings, which isn't about traveling through New Zealand, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what you guys come up with. Extreme Talauta says, see you next week and have a great day. I'm going to get ready for a run.
Okay, see you next week.
So if you guys don't know, Extreme Talauta is actually a referee for rugby union, which is really big here in New Zealand. So he's training every Sunday. So he always pops in, say hi, and then go train. Okay, Cecile Bouyendia, finally, I am here at your comment. I know you asked this question quite a while ago. I'm sorry. She says, Morena. And she says, just want to have an idea if cycling is a thing in New Zealand. I don't see much video about it, but I thought the country might be perfect for it. All the way from the Philippines, by the way. Okay, Cecile. So cycling in New Zealand is a thing. We do actually have some friends who cycle all the time. However, I'll be honest with you, it's not the most pleasant thing to do on the roads in New Zealand, just because the roads tend to be quite narrow and everything, and there is a lot of traffic. So you may, it's not comfortable as a cyclist, and there's gravels and all those kind of things. So there is a fantail hunting over there, just right in front of our window. That's fun. Anyway, fantail is a bird, by the way. So cycling, it is a thing in New Zealand, and there are some people which are cycling their way all the way through in New Zealand. I just think that because of the infrastructure, it's just not as popular. And that's probably why you see less of it. However, if you are into mountain biking, this is a good place to do that.
There's a lot more off-road bike trails, which are, better for cycling in New Zealand. It's usually sort of referred to as mountain biking, but don't think that it means that you're going to be, doing extreme downhill mountain biking or anything. The mountain biking trails in New Zealand are graded from 1 to 5, with 1 being, easy breezy, sort of flat trail through usually some beautiful scenery. And then 5 is usually the sort of, really hard up and down hill, going over like tree roots and rocks and all that sort of thing. So you'll find bike trails going across all different types of grades in New Zealand. A lot of them are run by the Department of Conservation, and they have a really easy website to look at where it tells you sort of the grades for each of their mountain biking trails. So if you're looking for just sort of nice cycling through beautiful scenery, you're looking for like grade 1 to 3, say, and then if you're looking for something a bit more hardcore, that's more 3 to 5 that you want to look for.
We do have a lot of videos on NZ Pocket, on this channel right here with mountain biking. There is a lot of multi-days track, which are really awesome. So you can get that kind of like really awesome kind of mountain biking experience that may replace the fact that you're not biking your way through New Zealand. And we have a lot of mountain biking guides on nzpocketguide.com, and I mean a lot. You literally just go. Actually, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to show you up. So I'm clicking here so that I can see. No, you can't see the site anymore, can you? Here you go. I was actually preparing bringing pets in New Zealand. Yes, because we have a question coming up about that. So
okay, we'll get back to that.
Yeah, I'm going to open another one. So on activities right here, we're having outdoors activities, and right here we're having biking. So nzpocketguide.com, outdoors activities, biking, and there is a lot of content for you here, Cecile, with like all the best bike trails and everything. And you see that's my face upside down going mountain biking. So we've done most of the trail. This is Laura and I. This is Laura and I here. So yeah, look at Laura. Look at Laura in Ruapehu right here biking it.
Shot.
Yeah. So there is a ton of mountain biking area in New Zealand. Look at how many there is. And there is even obviously some cycling rules for like in cities and everything. So we have a lot of content for you. So you may get into that through the website and be able to actually gauge what the current offering of mountain biking in New Zealand.
Yeah, and also through those guides as well, we usually include a bit of a description on what each bike trail is like, also the distance of it, and also the grades like I described to you. And there is a little section at the beginning of each of our mountain biking guides which explains what you can expect from each of the grades.
And we have a lovely viewer from China, which names translate to forest. I love it.
Oh, nice.
and the characters look a little bit like two trees. And I love it. I think it's really cool. So I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce it in Chinese. I wouldn't know how to. But forests say, I've seen people cycling when I drive, but more motorcycles on the roads. And I agree with that statement. It's not necessarily that fun. There are some events in which you have some some biking events in Queenstown. You even have some in Lake Taupo, which is the largest lake in the northern, and you have like an event where you cycle all around the lake. There are some events like that. In that case, you will see a lot of cyclists, but not really kind of as going around the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we have for you, Cecile, and even contribution for some other viewers. I love it. Ezekiel, what is Ezekiel saying?
Oh, yeah. So Ezekiel says, how is the nightlife in New Zealand? I mean, compared to more sort of, urbanized areas around the world, if you're thinking of like in Europe, New York, large cities, it's definitely nothing compared to those places. The main sort of places to go out in New Zealand are Auckland, Queenstown, Dunedin, Christchurch, Wellington. So sort of the largest sort of cities and towns, and Queenstown's a tourist hotspot, although it's small. It does have quite a lively nightlife. So there are certainly bars and clubs and stuff, but usually they're not as big and they're not as sort of, I guess production value is not quite there. Yeah. I don't know if production value is the right word, but so just expect sort of like, it's usually there's smaller bars, smaller clubs. There probably will be less people. You don't usually find people queuing outside of clubs for too long or anything. That's not really a big thing in New Zealand. So yeah, the nightlife's okay. With that, the nightlife's okay.
So nzpocketguide.com on activities, city activities, you get a whole section called nightlife, and then we recommend some bars and some things to do after dark. But New Zealand is mostly about like enjoying natures and much more than going out. I'll be honest with you, I lived in other countries and everything, and the nightlife in New Zealand is not the best. So don't come to New Zealand because you expect epic nightlife. Come to New Zealand because you expect epic landscapes. That's more what you will find here, if you know what I mean. All right. So Cecile says, I cannot believe I've never heard of your site. What? Oh, they've never been to your site. What? Well, change that now.
Yes.
Anyway, it's all free. So if you want to go on it, you go on it. If you don't want to go on it, you don't have to go on it. It's absolutely fine. But if you do find some fun stuff on the site as well, feel free to share it. You guys can share the love and make us happy, and everybody's happy, and yay!
Yay!
Grant Montgomery says, "Are you guys allowed to legally?" I can't read that. Can you read that?
Are you guys allowed legally to recommend pet relocation?
We absolutely are. We do what we want. But so you actually saw quickly that I was showing the site already. I had the site ready for you. But on nzpocketguide.com, we actually do have bringing pets into New Zealand. That's actually the earliest article we've ever done.
One of the first articles that we wrote, because we wanted to go with something completely random about traveling to New Zealand.
So we were actually doing some tests, and we wanted to do something like absolutely out of there. So so we have a whole article on NZ Pocket Guide, tips and everything, and some links, and you have you can check different categories of pet. There's some PDFs, there is quarantine. There is a lot of stuff that you may want to keep in mind. Obviously, I know you're bringing a dog, not a rat, but you know.
They're the list of prohibited.
Yeah, just so you guys know, if you guys are ever intrigued, you are completely strictly prohibited to bring in New Zealand birds, ferrets, guinea pigs, mice, rats, reptiles, and snake. That is absolutely forbidden to do that. Here you go. In case you want to have a snake in your backpack, you can do that in New Zealand. But yeah, so we do have the information right here. So we won't really go in depth in that because it's so specific to what kind of pet you're bringing. But seriously, check that. And yeah, we definitely give you all the information we have right here.
Yeah.
Clay says the Christchurch chat was a good video. So he's referring to the video we published yesterday where I was joined by Tim from Hello Future Me. And he's a local of Christchurch, so I asked him to share some of his favorite local tips. And a lot of the stuff he shared I never heard of, which was really awesome. That's the best kind of chat I like. So that was really cool. So he recommends really, really out there kind of things to do in Christchurch. So if you ever plan to go to Christchurch, check out that video. It's really awesome. Ben says, thank you so much. You're very welcome, Ben. That was a good question, so I like it. Mosen, which is the emoji guy now, just spreading happiness, give us about 1 million different emojis. Wow. I like it. Some of them I've never seen before. What is this kind of seal ghost? There's like a ghost seal right now.
I think it's just a normal seal. That is very pale.
Clay is already working himself into the quiz. So if you guys are just joining, at the end of this video, there's going to be a premiere video coming out, which is the Lord of the Rings New Zealand location quiz. So you may want to stick around for that. And he's warming up and say, is the answer to the whole quiz Queenstown, Otago, and Southland? Yeah, pretty much. And Weta Studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be in the live chat. So Laura hasn't done the quiz, so she will be doing it as well. And I may just pop in some hints along the way.
But thanks for giving us some clues, Clay. I'll be using Queenstown, Otago, and Southland often.
Okay. Christian, can you read what Christian says?
Do you have any tips for new PhD students moving to Auckland soon and who wants to actually stay in New Zealand? How's the job market in humanities? I'm a historian. So on this channel, we mostly focus on traveling New Zealand. We don't really focus on, taking certain career paths in New Zealand. That's not what we specialize in. So for us to give you advice on that isn't really appropriate because otherwise we wouldn't really know what we're talking about. So we don't want to give you any false information, Christian. So unfortunately, that's not the best place for this question. But
that's not a polite way to say we don't know and we don't want to spread misinformation. So we rather tell you honestly, we don't know. So I will not be able to actually even name one job in the humanities field. So that's actually I could name historian because you are here. But that's it. I don't know what that field entails. So for this reason, we wouldn't be able to give you much tips on that. But we can tell you awesome things to do in New Zealand. And we can even discuss about some awesome historical places to visit in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So here you go. Tourism, we're pretty good at that.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Kiwi Lauren says, my students have all been educated about Baldwin Street in Dunedin. I show them pictures. When they speed up while playing music, I tell them to stop running down Baldwin Street. It's a great visual. That's fun. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Baldwin Street is the steepest street in the world. It's located in Dunedin, and it's very, very steep. And it's a great photo op when you visit Dunedin. And it's a free activity to do there. I always like free things to do.
Yeah.
Cecile says, I love mountain biking. Totally taking note of this. Chur, guys. Oh, Chur. Look at her. She's already Kiwi right here. I love
someone's been researching the Kiwi slang.
She said, I love it already. It's amazing getting used to the Kiwi humor.
Yeah.
Our humor is not necessarily the Kiwi humor. We're just a bunch of goofballs right here. But we just spread joy, Cecile. We just spread joy.
Or we attempt to, at least.
Yes. Do we make you guys happy? If we're happy, tell us in the live chat and hit likes. Clay says, haha, Kiwi Lauren, that's what we say here in Dunedin to people who talk or work too fast. Are you heading down Baldwin Street area? They will say that to me all the time because I always talk way too fast. That is funny. So that's an expression locally of just Dunedin. That is very, very small. I like it. So those guys are chatting. Okay, Ramprakash Sundarajan. I'm sorry, I may have destroyed your name, but I love you either or. Ramprakash Sudarajan says, hi, thanks for your video. You're very welcome. I'm looking for affordable housing and planning to move from Wellington to Christchurch. I am not still went to Christchurch. Is it good to move to Christchurch? Thank you.
Visit Christchurch first.
Yes.
Absolutely. Before you go and decide to live in a place, we fully recommend to actually go and check it out for yourself, because what you see in photos, what you might hear people from the internet saying about it, it really comes down to what you think about a place. And if it feels like, if you go there and you get that feeling that, oh yeah, I could live here, then it's right for you. But a lot of places, well, for instance, when I first came to New Zealand, I thought I might want to, stay in a certain town. But when I actually got there, I was like, maybe not. So, it's definitely worth planning a quick trip down to Christchurch, and even having a look at what obviously rent or buying a house is like in Christchurch. Just do a bit of research of actually going there first.
Yes. If you ask our personal opinion, I personally really do like Christchurch. I think it's a great place to explore all the contemporary plains. You're not too far from places like Hanmer Springs, Kaikoura, the Banks Peninsula, and all that. And we do have a lot of videos of Christchurch on the channel, including literally one that we published yesterday with a local that's sharing his local tips for Christchurch. So you may want to check this one out. That's literally the last video on the channel. It's bright and pink. You can't miss it. So yeah, I really like Christchurch. I think it's a great base to explore. Also, it's quite easy to find jobs and everything. So I think it's a good place to visit. So on my personal opinion, yeah, go ahead, go in Christchurch. But Laura is right. You should definitely visit first.
Absolutely.
Don't move somewhere until you actually have visited. Don't plan to move there until you have visited extensively the place. Akash says, hi guys, is there any news about student visa? When will the border open to students? Thanks in advance. Akash, there has been no news. There is a website on screen right now. That's the official, Education New Zealand website. Check this one out. That's for all your latest news. If there are any news, we will post a video on the channel. And if you want a little bit more elaboration on all the borders and everything, we actually spent 15 minutes at the beginning of this video talking about it. So you may want to rewind and start at about like 5 or 10 minutes in. And we cover some questions about when are the borders opening and all that in 2 different sections. So because we already talked in 2 different instances about that for about 15 minutes literally today, that's why I'm sending you back there.
Yeah, you'll find more information earlier on in the video.
Yes. Can you read what Milandino says?
Milandino says, hi, any update about the student visa process and border openings? You both look very cool. Thank you. So yeah, as Robin just said, have a look at the website link that's coming up on screen. You can, basically borders are still closed. There's been no official information. And also skip to the beginning of this video. We have talked extensively about the borders being open to students a couple of times during this live session. So just rewind.
Woo! Okay, Carlo has a good question. I like that question. Free stargazing spots.
There's lots of free stargazing spots.
The good thing about stargazing, right? Let's just get started with that, Kello. The good thing about stargazing is that you literally just have to look up. So you can pretty much stargaze from anywhere. We are living in central North Island. Sometimes we look up and there's some amazing starry skies. So that's pretty awesome. Now, in New Zealand, there are a couple of areas which actually provide even better stargazing. And same thing, you just have to look up and you enjoy it. So the area around the Aoraki Mackenzie Mount Cook area there, it's actually an internationally recognized dark sky reserve. That means that there are a lot of regulation on what kind of building they can build there that emits light at night. And so that means that basically pretty much the whole landscape is quite dark at night, and it provides some of the best viewings for stars in the world. There is actually an observatory on Mount John, for instance, that you can pay and you can go there and do tours and have some equipment and look at. But aside from that, if you are just an amateur stargazer and you don't necessarily want to spend that much money, you are absolutely more than welcome to actually just look up. So a couple of good locations around the area to look up or to base yourself, for example, a couple of the towns are.
So Lake Tekapo, you did just mention it, where they do have tours there. But if you are in Lake Tekapo, what we would suggest is to simply, drive up the road a bit, get away from the artificial lights of the towns, and just sort of pull up on a safe parking space area at the side of the road, and yeah, look up, let your eyes adjust, and you will see amazing stars. Obviously, the later you leave it, if you're going more for, midnight, that's when you're really going to get like the most sort of vivid displays of stars. And also you need to have a clear night, and if the moon's too bright, sometimes that hinders what you see from the stars. So there's usually a few conditions for actual good stargazing, but yeah, Lake Tekapo is one of them.
Mount Cook is also a phenomenal place to do that. So same thing, they do have tours where they will take the full telescopes and everything. And again, all those tours we're talking about, we have videos on this channel of us actually doing that. But yeah, so you have some phenomenal viewings around the Mount Cook area as well. If you stay there, I strongly recommend you do. It's pretty awesome. Another place, Laura?
So Stewart Island, this is the island that's just off the coast of the bottom of the South Island. That's actually an international dark sky sanctuary. And it's one of the good places to also see the southern lights, also known as Aurora Australis, which is basically that sort of green, pinky hues you see coming from the South Pole. And yeah, it also has amazing stargazing over there as well. Basically, wherever you stay on Stewart Island, you'll see amazing star displays. Even in the town's really small and there's not really that much lights. So you can have amazing stargazing there as well. So Stewart Island is another one to add to the list.
I know I've shown the site a lot today, but I think I'm just going to show you guys another time just as a cheeky one. But on nzpocketguide.com, for example, we have 5 fantastic stargazing sites in New Zealand. So you get a full articles that just show you where you can go and stargaze some good places where you're going to get some really amazing opportunities to stargaze in the country. So it's pretty awesome. And I will suggest you check the site. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to put that in the chat box for you guys. So like that you have
a nice, easy link. Yeah.
Yes. I hope are we back on full stuff? I hope we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So also, cool. I did see cheekily on that list just there was Twizel as well. Twizel is also part of the International Dark Sky Reserve that's near Lake Tekapo and Mount Cook. So that's another small town in the area where you can, stay in one of the nearby campgrounds or holiday parks and look up on a nice clear night when there's not too much, moonlight or away from artificial lights, and you'll get awesome stargazing there. But honestly, as we've traveled around New Zealand, and if we've just every night that we've traveled around New Zealand, we tended to sort of, get a glimpse of the night sky. And when it has been good conditions, you do get awesome stargazing in just really random places. In particular, I remember going to do a bit of a beach bonfire on the west coast in Westport on the South Island. And on both occasions where we've actually gone to go and do that, there has been some of the best stars that I've seen since being in New Zealand, just going to this random beach where you're away from the town and just toasting marshmallows around a bonfire. And yeah, that's where I've personally seen some of the best stargazing in New Zealand. So it really does depend on sort of the conditions of the night sky and that sort of thing as well. So just look up every night that you're in New Zealand. Yes. Look up.
All right, so again, the address of the site is right here, and I actually did put the link of that very exact specific article for you in the live chat right now. I put some emojis of stars, and then you have the correct link for you, Carlo. I hope that answered your question. If you do have any extra questions, go ahead. And by the way, if you guys find what we're doing useful, hit like. It's a free way to say thank you for all the hard work. And stick around. In about 10 minutes, we're going to do a quiz about the Lord of the Rings location. Okay.
Where were we?
Last question from Grant Montgomery. It's not your last question, mate. I know you'll come back. Last question, he says, are there any adult Maori language classes? Yes, there are. I actually took about an hour, it was a 2-hour session of it. I'm still terrible at pronouncing Maori words, but they absolutely are. There are some of them which are free. They're sponsored by the community, and there are some of them. It's never really that expensive, and they usually are night classes, so people can go after work. But yes, there are plenty all around New Zealand, even in the smallest town. We don't live in a really big town, but there is still some.
Yeah.
Christian says, is it possible to travel around New Zealand without a car? Or maybe also talk about car rental? Thank you. I just hate driving. Okay, so car rental, we have many videos on the channel and on the site, NZ Pocket Guide. We even have all our recommendations. So it's on prepare your tips, prepare your trip, transportation, and then car rental. You get plenty there. But if you don't have a car, traveling by bus in New Zealand is a very valuable option.
Yeah, so you have a couple of different options of types of bus tours or bus journeys that you can take around the country. There is the cheapest option, which is taking the national coach network, which is run by Intercity, and they basically offer bus trips from A to B, from town to town. So if you need to get between towns and stuff, they're a cheap and easy way to go about it. They usually only, from one town to the next, they usually only have like one bus scheduled per day to do that journey. So it's not like it's available for whenever you want it. You do need to plan your trip around, scheduling the bus and when the buses will leave and stuff like that. So that's something to bear in mind. You're not fully flexible, but that's a cheap way to do it without having to drive yourself. Alternatively, there are bus tours around New Zealand. So they'll take you to all these sort of highlights around the country, usually with like-minded people who've come to New Zealand. Typically, they're solo travelers or maybe couples or a couple of friends that are traveling on these bus tours. So usually it's a good way to meet other people if you are, for instance, traveling alone. And and you basically get to see all the highlights around the country. There's set time frames. So if you want to do a 14-day tour, there's often a tour for that. If you want to spend 21 days traveling the country, there's even tours that last that long. There's also hop-on, hop-off buses. So if you wanted to stay in a destination for longer and take the next scheduled bus, then there's also the hop-on, hop-off bus options as well. Because there's really a lot to say on the different types of, bus travel that you can do around in New Zealand. We have tons of articles on nzpocketguide.com. If you go into our transport section of the website, so that's under, I think, travel tips. Prepare your trip.
Transportations, and then
bus. Yeah, you will find tons of articles to sort of show you the difference between bus tours, hop on, hop off, or taking Intercity, showing you the different costs involved and where they go. Tons of information that we don't have time to cover right now, but that's a good place to start your research.
It's also not just that we don't have time to cover that right now, it's that everybody has different needs, right? So maybe you are best fit for hop on, hop off bus. Maybe you are best fit for just, coach buses, or maybe you're best fit for an entire bus tour, or maybe you literally just want to hitchhike around New Zealand. There are so many different options to travel around New Zealand without a car that you may just, it's hard for us to kind of pinpoint where you are. And so that's why we have the site, which is set up with all this information so you can pick and choose and come back to us. You can even come back to us with some more questions at a later date, and super happy to help out with that as well. Yeah. All right, let's go back to the live chat. Where were we? Okay, so some movie recommendations start coming up, and Nathan says we should watch the Hobbit trilogy. So here you go. If you guys have some movie recommendations for us, go ahead. Clay says, imagine a world where they charge you to look up at night. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's free to look up at night, and it's a good thing that it's free. I mean, come on. Yeah. There's already a lot of things we pay for. But there probably will be a stargazing tax at some point on your rate. Nathan says, once I was on a tramping trip to Kawakawa Bay at Lake Taupo and saw clear sky and two shooting stars, one going one way and the other going the opposite way.
Amazing.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah. That's epic. Wow.
So see, that's just another example of even if you're hiking or staying in a hut, because there's a lot of hiking trails where you can stay in huts overnight, and they're usually in very isolated places. And because there's no light around, that's usually when you get some really awesome stargazing.
Yeah. Carlo has another question. Say, are sandfly a problem in early autumn in the Milford Sound area?
In early autumn, I'd say a little, definitely less than in summer. Yes. But I would definitely still take some insect repellent just in case. In Milford Sound, there are usually a lot of sandflies when it's coming up to summer. The climate is actually, the climate is getting warmer. So, I mean, we've noticed like warmer autumns and stuff at the moment, actually, this year. So, I mean, I would just as a, an extra safety precaution, I would take some insect repellent just in case. Yeah, those pesky sandflies are always find a way to go and nibble at your feet.
The good thing is that we do have some videos on NZ Pocket Guide. So some video on the channel with ways to deal with sandflies, and we do have some tips on NZ Pocket Guide as well.
Yes.
On how to deal with that.
Absolutely. So, do you want me to talk a bit more?
No, that's okay. All right, moving on to the next question. Sorry about that. What do we have? Flavorlicious pastry and catering.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
I like you. Says, I love New Zealand. I love you. He says, I won't go back there. He or she says, I won't go back there. Oh, nice. Well, come back and bring us some pastries.
Yeah.
Mohsen says, remember you didn't name me the emoji guy in 2018 when around the live video started. P.S. Happy seeing you two full of energy every week. It makes me inspired. Oh, that's lovely.
That's cool.
Yes, I do remember calling you the emoji guy. You even changed your name at some point on YouTube, if I remember correctly.
It's hard to keep up with who is the emoji guy.
Dun, dun, dun. He's hiding in the night. I can see his hiding in the sky. It's emoji guy.
Oh God, can you imagine? That will be the next Marvel superhero.
Oh, yeah, sure. Probably, yeah. As long as he fights a big blue sky beam, it's a Marvel superhero. It works. All right, Clay is giving some more tips about stargazing. Carlo, you did strike a chord with everybody on the stargazing
everybody
stuff.
Loves to talk about stargazing.
Yeah. And he says, Alan's Beach, there's many bonfires and social gathering at night, watching the night skies, and sometimes lucky enough to see the southern light too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, definitely around Dunedin's a good place for if you're super lucky, because it is even more conditional than stargazing, but Dunedin's also a good place to catch a glimpse of the southern lights, particularly if you're in the on the Otago Peninsula. There's often really awesome photos of the southern lights coming out of that area. So I'm so jealous that all those people have seen the southern lights and we still haven't. That's how hard it is to see the southern lights in New Zealand.
All right. So next question, and I think that Carlo is getting really busy with a ton of questions right now. He said, "I need tips for the Lake Marian." You guys don't know, the Lake Marian is in the Fiordland National Park. It's kind of one of the hikes you can do off the Milford Road. And so yeah, so it's actually it can be an easy hike if you just go to the waterfall. It's about 20 minutes, and then you come back, or you can go all the way to the hike, and it's uphill and everything, and it's about 3 hours. It's a return track. The roads is unsealed to kind of like go to the beginning of the track, so you won't be able to do that with a rental car because most rental cars don't allow you to drive on unsealed roads. So just keep that in mind.
Also, I know that the first section to the waterfalls is quite well maintained, but then after that the track deteriorates
muddy
slightly more. It gets a bit muddy after the waterfall, so that's usually a tip. People that are traveling with kids and they're looking for a hike, I know for people traveling with children, they often just go to the waterfall, but if they have younger kids, they usually don't continue up because it's quite slippery and there might be some sore legs, sore bruises after slipping all over the mud. So there's just some extra hints. But I mean, if you're able-bodied, if you know what you're doing when it comes to putting one leg in front of the other, then it's only a good 3 hours.
It's not a multi-day hike, so that means you won't really be, you're not like in for something absolutely crazy. It's not a multi-day hike, so you'll be okay. But aside from that, I mean, if you have anything more specific, go ahead. But that's the thing that came up to my mind when you said Lake Marian. Clay says, that was a pretty smooth with a link here, Robin. Almost like you knew Laura was going to reference the site. Do you see the future? Well, yeah,
he just knows me very well.
Yeah, we kind of do that often enough now. But no, hey, I just want to point out, so as Motion was, the emoji guy, I'm going to call
the emoji guy.
The emoji guy was pointing out, right? We started doing those live session, that's almost 3 years now that we've been doing this live session. That's what live session is. What was on the study? Is it number 126? I think
something
today.
Like that.
So it's live session 126. So we've done enough now that things are improving. I also feel like when we're watching some of our earlier live session, it's really like we were really not as comfortable, like kind of chatting or answering the questions live and everything like that, or sometimes taking off. But now we're feeling like way more comfortable and everything. So that's why I could add like, text on screen, like links to NZ Pocket Guide, for example, and those kind of things. Or even kind of sharing my screen and everything, because now we start getting better with like the talking, so we can add something else. So as we improve, we try to improve it as well. So yeah.
We think we're getting better with the talking, but honestly, at the beginning of this live session, I completely blanked. I was like, words, I cannot remember words.
But it's because you hangover, but you don't want to admit it to people. So
yeah.
For all this alcohol you don't drink.
Yeah.
Cool. Anthony Comstock stay safe. I'm here until the end. Oh yeah,
which is our cue to wrap it up. Thank you, Anthony, for always reminding us.
So that means in exactly 10 minutes the quiz is starting. So we'll stick with you guys for another 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then we'll have to switch to the quiz.
Yes.
So we'll hang out. Only a short while left, guys. Where are we on? Nathan Bates says, while at the lake watching the shooting star, I also saw the Milky Way and the Southern Cross.
Nice.
Yes, I mean, honestly, that's one of the things, right, Carlo? I know you're into stargazing and you really want to do stargazing in New Zealand. Looking up every night will offer you like amazing views. Like, it is quite amazing how with your bare eyes you actually can make up a little bit of the cloudy kind of Milky Way and everything. It's impressive. I haven't noticed that in any other countries.
No.
Maybe because I grew older in New Zealand and I got appreciation for other things, like I used to go out when I was in Canada and everything, going party, and you don't really see, the stars from the nightclub. But, but now, more into like, kind of like, enjoying nature and everything. But I don't know of any other places, on me personally, and there are obviously other places in the world, but I don't know of any other places where you literally can actually make the Milky Way with naked eyes.
Yeah. I grew up in the UK, in even in a rural area of the UK, and you barely saw. Stars was just like a few dots in the sky. You would see the Great Bear. That was the only one that I could ever see in the UK. But then, since coming to New Zealand, I was absolutely amazed by the fact that you could see that sort of Milky Way stripe going through the middle of the sky. It was really, really awesome.
Yeah. Christian says, what are the most affordable times to travel from Europe to New Zealand?
Well, in normal times when there isn't a global pandemic, so it does change quite a lot. I can tell you the most expensive times. So the most expensive times to avoid would definitely be around Christmas. So the month of December and typically the month of January as well. They're 2 months to avoid if you're looking for, basically the most expensive times. And then if you're coming, well, the thing with New Zealand is that we experience the seasons basically the opposite to the Northern Hemisphere. So if you're looking while it would be cheaper to come to New Zealand during winter, which is between June, June, August and September is when winter in New Zealand is. But that's obviously summer if you're coming from Europe. So perhaps your first leg of your flight is going to be quite expensive because flying in the summer season in Europe tends to be a bit more expensive than in winter. But then once you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you're taking the second leg of your flight, then that tends to be a bit cheaper because you're actually coming to when it's the less busy tourist season of New Zealand. So it's really a kind of hit and miss when you're trying to find cheap flights throughout the rest of the year. Other than December and January, you're just going to have to be flexible with your times when you're looking for flights. Have a look at a couple of different months and different times of the week. Obviously, flying midweek is always cheaper than flying on a weekend or from Friday to Monday. So just be flexible with your times, and that's usually the best way to find cheaper airfares.
And as Laura wrapped that up, I just wanted to share with you that on NZ Pocket Guide, yes, yet again, we do have a full article on how to book cheap flights to New Zealand, where we do have a lot of tips on what's the best time to book. For example, 47 days before your flight is usually the exact time when it's the cheapest to book. You get a lot of tips right here to help you out with all of those and to try to save a lot of money onto your flight. So here you go. We really do have a lot of information on the site. So how to book a cheap flight to New Zealand on NZ Pocket Guide. It's free to use. So yeah, check it out.
So pretty much all the questions that you guys ask on the live chat, we do have answers on nzpocketguide.com, except for when the borders will open, because nobody knows. We don't have that on nzpocketguide.com.
But we will update it as soon as we know.
Yeah, as soon as we know, we will have an article up on there. But yeah, just we definitely encourage you to have a look on the website. We have thousands of articles which cover all this stuff, and usually once you start discovering, reading one article, it leads you to something else that you're interested in and all that. So just go on there, and you'll probably end up spending the day on there learning tons about traveling in New Zealand.
Cool. So Carlos says, I was planning on getting to Lake Marian with a rental car. Do you know of any alternatives to getting over here? I think that the section of the road, which is the gravel, is only about 1 kilometer. So one of the alternatives is to actually park a car 1 kilometer away and walk that section of the road and then start the hike from there. That will add you an extra, 1 kilometer, 20 minutes to the walk. Pretty much that. So that could be one option. The other option is not tell your car rental company that you have you've driven on the on the gravel road. That works as well.
Drive slowly. The reason why reason why they don't, car rental companies don't like their cars going on gravel roads is because that's when most of the window screen chips happen, because gravel is flying off onto basically the window screen. That's usually from other cars rather than you driving. So that's usually why, because it's more likely that there is going to be like your windscreen getting chipped.
Yes.
So just take it, if you do want to take the risk, take it slowly, try and avoid driving near fast cars, but you can't really control that. So just understand there's a risk there.
And also you can compare car rental companies on nzpocketguide.com. I'm not going to show you the site again, but I put the address here. But yeah, you can compare companies. Some of them will not have that condition of the dry gravel road. It's very rare, but some of them will not have that. So you may want to compare them. You can compare them on the site as well. So yeah, that would be your options. Motion says, whoa, you remember my name changing? Awesome memory. Of course, I remember people that show up literally every week. Oh, nice. Should it be Marvel or DC?
Which should he choose?
Honestly, I'm sick of Marvel right now. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of superhero stuff, but I'm going to say DC. Why not? They need a win. Marvel had too many wins. So.
Yeah, Emoji Man might be the one that makes them the heroes they needed to be.
You can team up with Liquid Boy, and here you go. And he says, when I come to New Zealand, watch for a guy with a T-shirt full of emojis. Oh, that'd be funny. That'd be hilarious. Nathan says that he's not going to make it to the quiz because he has to go to work.
See you next week. See you next week,
See you next week, Nathan. Bye-bye. Enjoy work. I can't remember where you work. Oh, you work at a supermarket, I think. He said that.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember. And Clay says, after a few brews, Eva ended up outside at night having a way too deep conversation discussing and trying to understand our significance when looking up. Our night skies in New Zealand is mind-blowing for sure.
Yeah,
that happened to me. That happened. So many reasons to do that. But yeah, absolutely true. All right, guys. So I'm putting in the live chat right now. I'm putting it the quiz link for you guys. So come to the premiere. It's happening right now. I'm putting it again right here. And yeah, we'll wrap up this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video useful, like and subscribe. It's always a free way to say thank you for all our hard work, especially clicking this little like button. Blah, blah, blah. That's what YouTube tell me to tell you. Aside from that, nzpocketguide.com. This is more important. The largest travel guide to New Zealand. Check it out. It's all free, and there is heaps of information for you guys. I've shown it multiple times during this live session, and we'll be back next week with more live sessions, more quiz, and this week we also have plenty of videos coming up for you guys in order to plan an epic trip to New Zealand. So why not check that out? In the meantime, what about we all click on that link?
And we'll go over to the quiz.
And we go to the quiz right now. Let's see if I can do it as well. Oh, I did it. Did it work?
Oops, something went
wrong. Here you go. That's YouTube for you. All right. I'll figure it out, and I'll be in at the premiere in, I have 1 minute to make it. So bye-bye, guys.
See you at the premiere.
Thanks for watching.
See you for the quiz.